Hi everybody, this is Patrick Donahoe. Thanks for downloading this video. This video is going to explain the qualified plan, the tax qualified plan, such as a 401k, 403b, different types of IRAs or IRAs, simple IRAs or IRAs, SEP IRAs, etc. And it's to really expose the deferring tax now into the future when you're going to have to pay taxes. Okay, so right now these plans are by far the most popular amongst employees in regards to preparing for long-term retirement. Most of the vehicles that are used for retirement are in mutual funds and securities-based instruments. Okay, so what I want to do is kind of go through some of the numbers, and it will show you overall rates of returns and so forth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an individual who is 35 years old right now and estimate kind of what his 30-year savings rate is going to be. We're going to assume that, from 30 to 35 as he's started his career and so forth, he's saved, roughly about $25,000. Now let's assume that he's making about $100,000 a year and saving about $10,000 or 10% of his income. And over time, let's assume that he has a 2% contribution into this pot. Now let's look at an earnings rate, 8%, and looks pretty good, $1.8 million. Okay, earnings rate, however, in the market are very volatile, and anything that is stated is very ambiguous. Reason being because the stock market goes up and down, and unfortunately it's hard to predict exactly what it is going to do. You can look at the market history, and obviously since 1901 there has been a average rate of return in the market of about 7.35%. Dow, S&P without dividends 7, 11% with dividends. If you go to the year 2000 to 2009, we have a 0.66 rate of return. But as you can see here, most things in the market are touted as averages. However, averages don't necessarily work out that well. Reason being, if you have a positive 25% return this year and a negative 25% return next year, your average is 0. However, if you have a $10,000 portfolio that earns 25%, now you have $12,500. If you lose 25% in the second year, you are not going to be back at 0. You will be below $10,000. Okay, so that is kind of the misconception when it comes to averages. Okay, actual yields, if you put in a dollar amount, okay, is going to be much less than the actual rate of return. Now, 0.6 to 0.3 might not seem like a huge difference, but if you go from 0.2 to 0.6, that's a 300% increase. Okay, so anyway, I'm not getting into that right now, but the reason why I stated that is because an 8% rate of return is pretty favorable, especially having it consistent for an entire 30-year period of time. But let's roll with it. All right, so a large incentive, I guess you can say, for individuals putting money into a 401k or likewise plan is the match. Employer matches. Individuals will get an incentive from their employer that puts money into their qualified plan. The employer obviously has some benefits there. It keeps the employee at the business. It helps incentivize them and so forth. Let's say that there's a 50% match, which pushes the rate of return up to 9.73, which is good. Now you have $448,000 coming out of your pocket, $900 coming out of the employer's pocket. Well, obviously that goes, $448 comes out of the employer, so you ultimately have $900,000 worth of contributions. However, if you look at most of the paperwork for matching, which I have looked at a lot, they cap the contributions, averages around $2,500. Okay, so that only puts the rate of return up by 0.41%, which is not a huge increase at all. However, the portfolio does grow to $2 million. Okay. Now on our YouTube channel and also on our blog, you can go in and look at a video I did several months ago, which talks about the buy term invest the difference concept. Remember, if you are in a family and you do want to protect your family, the common strategy is to purchase a long-term policy with an insurance company and cover your assets based on that if there's anything that happens prematurely to you. So if we take into consideration a term insurance policy for $2 million, which would protect that, and we look at a premium for 30 years at $2 million for a 35-year-old that's pretty healthy, it's about $1,500 per year, which obviously decreases the total rate of return because money is coming out of pocket for that, which could have been going into the plan. So now that brings the rate of return down to 7.92%. Okay. Now, this year was an awesome year for George Steinbrenner. George Steinbrenner obviously is the owner of the Yankees and most famous for being on Seinfeld. That's my take on it, at least. But he passed away this year. Long life. And his heirs did not have to pay any estate taxes. Now, they might have had to pay some income taxes, but no estate taxes. There was a oil tycoon, or maybe capitalist, I guess I can say, in Texas, one of the top 100 most wealthy individuals in the world, from what the article said. And he did not have to pay estate taxes this year because the Bush estate tax expired at the end of 2009, and it was estimated he would have had to have paid several billions of dollars in estate tax. The estate tax or the death tax is going into effect, from what I've heard, in 2011. And the numbers that I've heard so far, it's not in stone yet, 45%. Now, it's 45% on anything above $1 million. Now, can that change? Sure, that can change. But nonetheless, it shows that the estate is exposed to, to money based on the estate tax, which takes away from the overall gain or rate of return. But nonetheless, you still, at the age of 65, have $2 million. Now, another video on our website and YouTube channel. It's not on our website yet. It's not on the blog, but it is on the YouTube channel. It was a piece documentary done by Bloomberg, and in this piece, there was a family, actually a couple of families, that had looked at their 401k and retirement statements, and during the downfall of 2008 because of the credit markets and banks and so forth, they had lost a significant amount of money. And so they started to do some of the calculations and realized that there was some money missing. So they hired a third-party auditor. Third-party auditor went in and realized that the reason why they had lost more than the actual mutual funds went down was because of managerial and administrative costs. So with every 401k, you have to have an administrator as well as a fund manager for your mutual funds. They reverse engineered all the money and found that that particular portfolio had 3.6% management fees, which is huge. Okay, but I don't think that was an anomaly. Right now, there are some bills on Capitol Hill, some laws trying to be passed. I have not read through the new banking reform bill, but it might very well be in there where administrators and fund managers have to disclose all of their fees. Right now, they do not. That is why this family was so surprised when they saw the exorbitant amount of fees they are being charged. So if that is the case with you, your rate of return subsequently goes down to 4%. But remember, the 401k is typically touted as a tax shelter. It is tax favorable to an extent. However, it does not shelter any taxes because ultimately the tax man cometh, which is going to be during retirement. So if we add that in, 5% estate tax, and looking at taxes today actually helps out because you're deferring taxes. If you actually had to pay taxes on all of those gains, your rate of return would go to 2.35%. But there's another calculator that we are going to use in just a second that actually talks about withdrawing money from the market, which ultimately will expose the whole idea of accumulating a huge basket of money and trying to live off of the entire portfolio during retirement. Okay, so this gross account value grows to about $974. I'm actually going to be kind of favorable and put in there a 2% management fee, which is typically the average from what they say, which I don't really buy it. But anyway, we'll put a 2% management fee in there and go to our next calculator, which is the distribution of these funds while this individual is in his golden years at the age of 65. So let's